Hey guys, we're going to kick off. So my name's Olympia and I'm a manager in the Salesforce practice at PwC. And we've got Kim Corin with me. So she's the Senior Digital Marketing Manager at Vault Bank. And today we're going to be taking you through a little bit about what we've been doing at Vault Bank and how they're kind of building a customer-led solution. So first we're going to take you a bit through the history of Vault. Some of you may have seen them in some sessions earlier today, but we'll give you a bit of background about who they are, what they're doing, and some of the business problems that they had when they were starting up, and how that led them to get on their journey with Salesforce. And then we're going to take you through a little bit about how their Salesforce actually works. So what parts of the tools they're working, without getting too technical, and talk about some of the different parts of the platform. And then we'll do a little bit of a customer demo for you, so how the customer is going to interact with the technology. And then Kim's going to take you through how that's actually working for them in real life, and some of the results that they're already starting to see. So with that, I'll give it to Kim, and she's going to take you through how they started.
Thank you, Olympia. So, like you said, maybe you guys have already seen a session, the DMP, or just Steve, who spoke earlier today. So we are actually the first digital startup bank here in Australia to receive a banking license since the early 2000s. It's basically the journey started in 2017 when Steve and Luke actually embarked on this journey to seize the opportunity to apply for a restricted banking license, which was granted by APRA on May 7th last year, followed by a full banking license this year at the 22nd of January. And then, with that in mind, their main goal is actually to build a bank of which the customer is better off. So what we have been doing, we would say everyone has a voice, one that should be heard. And in that regards, we wanted to create awareness. We wanted to actually connect with our future customers, and that's why we have launched Vault Labs. Vault Labs is a co-creation community app in which you can actually sign up to partake in surveys, or you can show your expression of interest for one of our events, or you can book one of our events. Soon you can also sign up and show your interest for our UX discovery sessions. And along this month, we will have some sessions for actually testing some features of the products. So, like I said, there's more to come, exciting, so download the app.
But that's all about, basically what you guys are doing is giving the customers the opportunity to shape the kind of service that you guys want to create.
The main intention of Vault Lab is actually to have the community, have them heard their voice. They can actually tell us what they want from a bank instead of us figuring out what you want and then serving you with different services that you're actually not really looking for. So if you tell us what you want, what your values are, what your pain points are currently, but also some of the insight, then we can actually build exactly what you are looking for. And in that regards, it makes it easier. The tools are making it easier for you to save more money, to actually reach your end goal. But also we'll be protecting your data, which is one of the main features when everything is digital, when services are digital first, products are digital first, then actually the data that should support everything, but also protect you. But that's all great. Launching Vault Labs, having the community, building that community. But actually, when you have a startup, the main foundation.
We actually have a really great quote on the slide from Rob Dunn, who's in the audience, who's one of the team members at Vault Bank. So it was all about initially setting up the foundations of what we were doing. And as Rob says, foundations aren't always fun, but they are fundamental, which was something we kind of carried through the project.
And in that regards, we looked at the foundation, and because we are we are taking a data-driven approach. So we looked at, okay, what do we actually need? What do we need to reach our end goal? To reach the end goal of a single view of the customer. So we started off with the data. In the earlier session, I mentioned the DMP. So we took the DMP as part of our acquisition tool, but also as part of our collection of first-party data. That's the data that we own. With that data, we can actually use that for acquisition. But once you acquire someone, you actually need to capture that store it somewhere where it's secure, when it has the proper privacy controls in place, but also nurture that and retain that at a later stage when we have real customers. So, on the back of that, having all these things in place, we are not only the DMP, also FFC, Marketing Cloud. What really underpins our values is the trust. Is the trust in data, in the security, and the people. But it also, like I said, it also enables our community so that we can build together, that we can listen, and that will ultimately change the way banking is done. With the trust, we have taken it to the next level, so to speak. So for the DMP, we have put the security controls and the privacy controls in place. For FFC and Marketing Cloud, we actually have put in place a nifty tool and Olympia will tell you more about it when we do our demo.
So I think the interesting thing that Vault were doing is that they were looking at obviously the technology that they needed to reach the goals that they were trying to get to. So they wanted a technology that was cloud-based, that was really flexible and worked in a modular fashion. So they needed something that was going to scale with them from where they are now as a startup all the way through to where they aspire to be as an enterprise. So they needed something that was going to follow along that journey with them and be able to meet the capabilities they required at the time. But they didn't just look at the technology, they were also looking at the business side of it and the customer experience, which is really central to what Vault are doing. So from a business perspective, they were looking for a solution that would give the power and the data to their staff, to the people who are running the business. So they wanted to not be withholden to other companies or developers to do things. They wanted to be able to configure journeys themselves, which is why Journey Builder was such an important tool for this. And then also have something that matches with where they are and what they're looking to do as a business in terms of their values. So things like innovation, which is something that Salesforce is looking at with their regular releases 3 times a year, and also in terms of the security. And as Kim said, Vault have gone that extra mile beyond what they needed to in order to create the most secure platform that they could possibly do. So we're going to take you a little bit through how they've kind of made this happen. So this is definitely an attempt at a prettier architecture. So it's definitely representative. But if you look from the left to the right, we've got DMP up there. So that's really, for some of you who might have attended the DMP session earlier, it's a way to kind of bridge the gap between the unknown and the known customer. And so that kind of sits off to the side there. There's no personally identifiable data in DMP, so it's kind of its own thing. And then in the middle, you've got the core platform. So on the lighter side, we've got Marketing Cloud, which is what's live now and what we're going to really show you in depth and take you through a bit of a customer demo on that. And then we've got that connected in using Marketing Cloud Connect into their core CRM, and they've chosen Financial Services Cloud. So for those of you who might not know, Financial Services Cloud is Sales Cloud and Services Cloud together, with also an industry kind of lens over it. So they've got some objects in there that are specific to the industry, and in this case, it's financial services for what Vault we're doing. We've also got Community Cloud in there. Community Cloud is kind of like the window into their CRM, providing a really secure portal and a way for customers to be able to update their data or partners or anyone else. So I'll take you through what parts of those systems they're using. So in terms of prospecting, this is where they've initially landed in terms of what they're using their products for. DMP has been really central to where they've started off in terms of building up a customer base. So you have to remember they're starting a brand from scratch. They started with 0. And Kim was pretty instrumental in pushing DMP to get in early, because it's all about creating that data set and creating segments so that they can be really, really proactive and efficient in how they're accessing and acquiring people, and really making sure they're sticking to their ROI goals. Then we've got Social Studio, so that's something else that came in fairly early, especially the social listening side of it. We'll give you a little bit of a demo of that later. But Social Studio, they're using to capture a lot of the conversations, not just about their brand, but about the industry in general, and how people are feeling about financial services, both here and overseas. Advertising Studio, pretty cool product as well. That's what they're using to start to map their first-party data. So when I say first-party data, it's the information they have about the potential customers they're acquiring who have signed up for their apps or signed up for their newsletter. they're using that and mapping that data into advertising channels so that they can exclude and model out those audiences to make sure they're getting the right people and not advertising to people who they already know. And then in line with that, which is probably used throughout the life cycle, is Content Builder and Journey Builder. So Content Builder, probably a lot of you who have used Marketing Cloud are familiar with it. It's your content repository, but the cool thing is you're using the same assets across all your channels. So you create your asset up for your email channel and you can use that across your mobile and other channels as well. And then Journey Builder, so that was one of the biggest decision makers. It's such a powerful tool in giving the power to the business. So it's all declarative, click and drag functionality that lets them orchestrate communications across their channel and fire off those triggers for when people need to get communications that are on a one-to-one level instead of kind of a batch email approach. So if we move on, Nurture, these are the core channels that they've gone with originally. Initially, everything's email. And as they grow and have a bigger requirement on channels, they're moving into using Mobile Studio as well. They're kind of the standard tools that are being used as those core channels. And then as we move into onboarding, this is where we really get to the parts of the platform that are financial services cloud. So they've got an onshore financial services cloud instance. So their goal is to keep all their important personally identifiable data onshore in Australia, and they've achieved that through going through Financial Services Cloud. So all their data starts there, and that's become their central source of truth for customers. So we've got web to lead and other direct imports, for example, the app, which we'll show you shortly, that all come into Financial Services Cloud. And then that is working with Marketing Cloud using tokenized sending to tokenize that data and send out of Marketing Cloud in a really secure fashion. They're also using leads and contacts as their core tools to kind of capture their customer information, and campaigns to manage that and make sure that they're tracking how successful their advertising is going. And then finally into service, this is an area that the business is starting to focus on now, building out this capability, which in the future is going to encompass a lot of the tools that we've just talked about, things like Social Studio for social servicing and some of the other channels for retention purposes. And then into the future, they're going to be looking at incorporating a lot of these tools into the whole life cycle. So DMP can start to be used across the entire life cycle of the customer, for acquisition, prospecting, nurturing, and engaging, and retention as well. So what we'll take you through now is kind of, if this is the technical architecture of it, how that actually looks for a customer. And we have a really cool customer of Astro, and this is kind of a little bit about his journey and how he would be looking at what Vault have built. So you can see here, this is Facebook on my mobile. But what we've got here is a prospecting ad from Vault. It's something where they're not quite sure who they are. They've used some of the tools and some of the data available in DMP to map that and to find people that they think might be in the right segment, but we actually don't know who they are yet. So it's kind of a general message that we're going out with, and then from that, we're trying to incite people to find out more and to download their app. So where we go next is to download the app. So if anyone wants to follow along, you can actually, we've got bit.ly links here. So you can download the app at the same time and you'll get the same automations and go through the same Marketing Cloud journey that I'm going to demo in real time if you'd like to. So basically this is downloading the app process, and what happens here is we launch Vault Labs' app, and all of this information that we're capturing along the way gets sent straight to Financial Services Cloud, and this is where they start that collaboration journey that Kim was talking about. So Kim, can you take us through what they get from the app and how that works in terms of your process?
So when you onboard on the app, you will actually in-app you will see you can schedule events or discovery sessions. The discovery sessions are a couple of sessions where we take you through the UX. We want to see how you would design certain things, how you would look at certain things, how you would position certain things, all in-app. Plus, we have still some money talk events throughout the country. So. We haven't scheduled the date yet, but you can put your expression of interest, and then once we know the exact date, we will email you. That will also go through the Journey Builder and Marketing Cloud. We'll email you the date, and then hopefully we'll see you at one of our events. It has a couple of surveys in it as well. Surveys about categorizing your money, paying for certain things, what your preferences are, how you currently do your finances, and more of that. So yeah, feel free to do some of the surveys and let us know what you think. Also, if you just want to share some of your thoughts and you don't want to go through all the surveys, you can just email us directly through the app, and then someone will answer you.
And once you download the app, this is the email you get. So this email is sent out of Journey Builder using Email Studio to create that email and content builder to build that content out. And what you'll see is that it's all personalized. So we've got dynamic strings in there that are pulling in the right content for the right people. And the cool thing is that because we're tokenizing the data in Marketing Cloud, anything you're updating is actually updated directly into Financial Services Cloud. So we're keeping all that data in the one place and we're keeping it really secure. And what that means is we have one central view of the customer in Financial Services Cloud, so that when someone like Astro is coming back into Facebook, they are getting a different message because we've excluded them using Advertising Studio from the kind of general prospecting message that you saw at the beginning of this demo. And instead, we can be really targeted. So we know who Astro is, we know which city he's in, and we know he's been looking at events. So as soon as we have an event in Sydney, we can start surfacing that content to him at the right moment in the channel that he's interested in, because we know a little bit more about him. So it's a great way of excluding the people you already know from some of your prospecting advertising and making sure you're getting them the right message when you want to re-engage them from a nurture perspective.
And that also ties in with the trust that we want to build with our customers, and that trust is actually based on knowing the customer, knowing exactly when you should use the data and use the data to increasing that user experience that you saw right now.
Cool. So I guess that's kind of a little bit about how we've set it up and how they're driving their customer experience through that kind of technology stack. But this is all actually live, right? So you can download the app and go through that experience now. So I think it'd be good for Kim to take you a little bit through what the value they're seeing from the solution now and how they're actually using it in real life. So the screens up here are some of the elements in the dashboard that they have in Social Studio. So this is some of their social listening dashboards. And you can see here there's a really, really big spike in the middle. So maybe, Kim, you can talk to us about what happened then and what we're actually looking here on this dashboard.
Well, that was a monumental day for us. We got our banking license. And we launched Fold Labs, and we opened up all our social channels. At the same time, finally, we could chime in on the chatter as well. So with that, we could actually see what the sentiment was about, what they were talking about, who was influencing the brand, what the content is that people are basically chatting about. In that, we had some funny things as well. The treasurer tweeted about us, about the change in the industry, and that it was a good thing. So that you can all pick up with the tool, and it's great. It's great. Effectively, what you do with the tool is you can join the conversation, you can intervene, you can send direct messages. So it's basically engaging with your user. And once you have that whole stack, it's a single view. So you see them actually on Facebook, you see them actually on Twitter, but you also know that they are in financial services, and they might have been gone through one of our ads.
But you've also been using kind of this tool a little bit for some testing, right, and some other things, and testing out some ideas.
Yeah, so we have been looking at ideas. So let's say if we would like to launch a certain banking card, then you can actually test it through Social Studio, see if people like the color, or people like a certain material, or even a certain service. You can look it up. Most likely there's some company or someone that has thought about that idea, has tweeted about it, and then you can actually see what the sentiment is. If it gets a lot of followers, then yeah, that idea might get a chance. If it gets totally booed out, don't even get started on it.
Yeah, and I think the good thing that you guys have had is that they've had a lot of the mechanisms in place to make the most of this data and capture these opportunities from the very beginning. So even before they had their banking license, they had everything in place. They had all the pixels on their site to capture all the information in DMP. They had the lead lead capture forms there to make sure all their data is in a central place and it's kind of captured in the right way that it's going to be meaningful for them to use and use really quickly. And they've also got things like their social listening set up so that they can be really proactive. And I think all of this is about having the foundations to make sure they have all this data and then they can make the most of it at the time because they're a startup and they don't have the luxury of 10 years of data and customer information to launch off. So it's been really integral to them to kind of get that right and build from that.
Yeah, and because you also don't want to be reactive. You want to be proactive, especially in digital. Things can change really quick.
Yeah.
So it was great.
Well, I think we might...
With that, I just want to say that looks all great, but it wasn't built in one day. And especially collecting the data in the DMP. We do see some, now we can build out some segments, we build out some lookalikes, but it does take time. It's just takes time because you need to also expand your digital footprint. Once you start expanding that, then more data is coming into this data pool. But all in all, it was, I would say, a really smooth setup.
It's quick. That's for sure.
Yeah, so for the DMP, it was like 2 months, and we had to set it up with Salesforce, PwC showering it, and for the full marketing stack within 2.5 months. So within 2.5 months, you can have a shiny tool.
So I think on that, we might open it up for any questions that anyone has or anything you want to ask. I think there's some mics coming around. So if there's any questions. Or not.
Anyone has a question?
Cool. All right. Easy.
All right.
Maybe not. Oh, David.
This sounds great. Just one question that is always on everyone's mind is how secure is this, and how do you make sure that customers' data is private and only theirs to see?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It was kind of like probably the highest priority, I would say, for Vault when they were looking at their solution and looking at their architecture and how they're going to run this. So they're using a lot of additional functionality to increase the base level of security that Salesforce already offer, which is really high. They've put in a lot of extra stuff. So on the core side, on Financial Services Cloud, they're using Shield for a lot of the event monitoring and field audit trail things. And then on the Marketing Cloud side, they're using tokenized sending. So there's actually no personally identifiable data sitting in their Marketing Cloud instance because that actually resides offshore, as a few of you may know, that's not an onshore platform. So basically the process is that only the data sits in Financial Services Cloud, it all gets tokenized, fed into Marketing Cloud, and then untokenized at point of send. So Salesforce Marketing Cloud offers that level of security. It's an additional level of security than you would need to be compliant, but it was something that our Vault wanted to do to be at that level. Yeah.
Hi there, just a follow-up question on security. I noticed the app is integrated with Facebook, and I wonder how the security has been managed with third-party data, because obviously once you're in Facebook Messenger, your data has been shared through that channel.
Yeah, so that demo, they're just using Facebook as a tool to prompt people to download the app. So we're not using Messenger yet as a channel, but so once you're going from Facebook to the app environment, there's no data shared at that point. It's just the app inputs that go into Financial Services Cloud that data is captured, and that's using the standard lead APIs that Salesforce offers. Yeah.
Plus, you already have to have it on your phone, the Messenger. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. You can email us directly then.
Another one? Hi, Marcus.
Why are you laughing? I've got a question for Kim, actually. So,
good.
Post-implementation, probably two questions there. Firstly, how did you get your staff kind of, geared up to use the tool set once it was put in? And secondly, sort of post-implementation, how do you make sure that you keep sort of, extending your team and using the tool set that's been put in and, retraining and keeping everybody sort of up to date with the latest and greatest? How do you go about that?
So at the moment, for the digital part and the DMP, I look after it because we are still a startup, so it's still manageable. But yeah, we'll be looking, once we start ramping up, when we start running ad campaigns and we do optimizations, then we will expand the team.
And you've done a bit of the
but we also have so the pure play digital side of things, like the DMP, the journey builder, and the social studio, all that. So yeah, I do look after that, but we have a marketing team as well. So writing the copy, anything that has to do with content, they will. Yeah, we are a team, so that's how we do it currently. But again, once we increase, once we go to market, then we will have a team to.
And you had a couple of your agencies, so your PR agency, come along.
Yeah, so yeah, we're using for PR. So for press release, we're using PR agencies for that. Yeah.
That's it. Awesome. All right, thanks very much, guys. We'll be around at the end anyway and over at the PwC booth to your right.
Thanks.
Cool, thank you.